What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Best Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Russler. I'm very excited to sit down today with a very special guest. She is a comedian and a podcaster based out of St. Louis. She hosts the Casually Mollie podcast. She also runs the Casually Showcase at the Golden Hoosier right here in St. Louis, and she's just a good friend of mine. Please welcome Mollie Amburgey. You said that you have a favorite holiday, but which holiday is the best? I mean, in my personal opinion, I love Thanksgiving and the 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
This is just so the picture is just a hodgepodge of literally every...
I like it though.
Yeah.
I'm actually really feeling the middle photo, just because Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas all kind of like boom, boom, boom into one. And I kind of like the sequential nature of that. It's always something I've been familiar with, so I always have something to look forward to. Because then once like New Year's is over, you're like, oh, okay. Now I gotta relax.
I'm not a Christmas person. I know.
Why?
I know. It's because...
Do you have no Christmas spirit?
I don't. All my kids say it. My wife says it. They all call me the Grinch.
I call my husband the Grinch. Oh my gosh.
I hate how when I was a kid, Christmas started like December 1st, maybe like December 10th, and then it went to like December 27th.
Okay.
And then people were done with it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But now it starts as soon as people are done trick-or-treating. They're like, it's Christmas time. And you're like, no, it's not. It's Thanksgiving. And then you wait, even after that. So, like, I just feel like Christmas is taking over. It's become like a 3-month event. Mm-hmm. And I worked at JCPenney as a teenager.
Oh, that'll do it.
And they played the same Christmas soundtrack over and over again. Mm-hmm. And it was only like 9 songs long. Oh. And so you work a 13-hour Black Friday shift. You can only hear Santa Baby so many times before you're like, I'm done. Yeah, so...
That is funny. I love that, though. I love that.
So what is it about Christmas that you love? Why is Christmas your favorite?
Well, now that you've asked. So here's kind of what my thought process. With Christmas, I feel like it's a good reset for the end of the year. Yes, on the shopping side, and I get it, because I used to work at Abercrombie & Fitch, and I worked in the mall in Cincinnati called Kenwood Mall for a long time, for those who are hip to it. But, yeah, there's a nice reset button because people are kinder. They remember to give back to people. Like, yes, I understand, like, when people are buying things, they're real nasty, and those are just people that are going to be nasty no matter what. They just happen to be nastier during the season. But there is something really kind about, like, people being like, give to Toys for Tots, or, come to this event, like, volunteer for this, support the homeless. Like, there's just things that we should really be carrying throughout the whole year that get mentioned during Christmas time. It's such a beautiful thing to see. And I know that sounds like really cheesy, but, and then the other thing is I'm a big fan of Christmas music. So I love that. Super catchy. I know what you just said, but Santa Baby is not one of my favorite Christmas songs. I don't understand why everybody likes it. It's very annoying.
That there's probably very few people that actually like it.
Yeah.
But then they're just like, well, I guess we should play it.
It's like Christmas shoes. That's depressing. Don't want to listen to that one either.
Exactly.
I just want to listen, even though I'm not even that religious, I like a good Angels We Have Heard on High. Yeah. I like a good Joy to the World. I like a good a cappella group, I even Train. Yeah. Shake Up the Happiness. That was in a Coke commercial. I'm there. Oh, see, Eric, there we go. So that's another thing. I love Christmas commercials, just like people like Super Bowl commercials. I could go on about this for days, so I'm sorry that you asked this.
No. That's the whole point. Yeah, that's the whole point. All of these questions are designed as just to tee up a conversation. So you just go.
Yes. Okay. Kate Barton and I were just talking about this, my dear friend. We love the Hershey Kiss commercial every year where it's like the little the
ringing.
Jingle
Bell.
Yes,
I
love that. I don't even drink pop or soda as we call in St. Louis, but I love the bear that drinks the Coke. He's just hanging out. And Also, there's like the familiarity of Christmas movies. I like that there's a happy ending to it. And, you know, even though it is cheesy, where my boss and I will be laughing about like, oh, and so saves the town. You know, it's just, but it's a nice feeling to watch that. And there's like certain things like the Christmas Carol too that you can revisit. And even though people are like, oh, the Christmas Carol, but it's just, it's familiar to me. I've been seeing it ever since I was a kid. And I just love the familiarity of him not being as mean because he had those reminders circling back around to be nice to people. So, yeah.
I will say, so I am not a Christmas person, but when you started describing why you love it, I'm like, well, I will say those are the right reasons to love Christmas. Like people being nice to each other, people giving back, people being, and I was like, okay. At least you're doing it because, like, sometimes you're like, "What do you like about Christmas?" And they're like, "Presents, shopping," and you're like, "Oh, okay." I see that to me is like the worst. The biggest, I don't know, the biggest like thing that I can't believe more than anything in the world is the day after being thankful for everything you have, Thanksgiving. Not even 12 hours later, people are trampling one another.
I know.
For deals. And it's just like, what are we doing?
I
like,
know.
Doesn't make any... And so that always put a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh, I agree.
About Christmas. But you did hit the nail on the head. Those are great things. And Elf is one of the greatest movies of all time.
I know. I love that movie. Yes.
I do love Elf. I hate Christmas music, but the little drummer boy...
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
I don't know why I love it, but I do. I think back when I was a kid, back at our church, they used to do this thing where they would get drummers like to secretly like circle around the congregation, and then they would do the little drummer boy, and there'd be one guy on stage doing it.
Okay.
And then they would have like slowly one by one, everybody would start to do it, and then all of a sudden it was like surrounding you. And I mean,
wow.
I know white people aren't famous for their rhythm, but you had a bunch of Midwest people just bum 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 bum. And so that when I do hear that song, it makes me think of that. So okay. I'll give it to you. Christmas is pretty good. You might have changed my mind today.
Oh.
Thanksgiving has always been my favorite.
Oh, I mean, I get that too.
I love it. To me, that's the best because you get together with family. Usually the same family you spend Christmas with is probably the same family you're going to spend Thanksgiving with. But it's not like pressure of like oh, I didn't find this gift for you, or I wanted to get you this, but it was sold out, blah, blah, blah. It's like no pressure. We're all just going to get together.
Yeah.
We're all going to eat.
Yeah.
We're all just
Who doesn't love to do that?
Exactly.
Right?
We're all just going to have a fun time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And hold on, let me move this over here.
Oh, you're okay.
No, my mouse wasn't registering for the close-up. Okay, so speaking of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
In the new Amburgey Day household.
Yes.
What is the best type of Thanksgiving food? Are you going for are you going to start new tradition, gas station, burgers, fries, fried chicken?
Doesn't sound
Are
bad.
you going to do like an appetizer, finger food?
Okay.
Poo-poo platter, or are you going the traditional bird stuffing or dressing, pecan pie, mashed potatoes? Like, what is the going to be the industry standard at your new household?
Well, if it were up to Jimmy, it would probably be the first two photos, and I say that lovingly. That is when I first met him. That was the diet, but. Surprisingly, he's actually a pretty good cook, but we really like to do Friendsgiving. I wasn't able to do it last year because life just got too crazy, but we started doing it when I was living in my loft, the one I was telling you about here in the city of St. Louis. And I was like, I really want to throw one. And I had so much fun with it, but funny story. I had never made a turkey before, and me being a theater major, the problem is like everybody around here in the Midwest is just like, oh, I cook, I do all this, like, oh, people fall in love with me because I cook, and I was a theater major, so I have been in dance since I was 3, so like I would go to school, but then I would go to rehearsal, like I would miss sleepovers because I was in like conservatory prep every weekend, and so I never really had like the need. That's why I make fun of air fryers and my sons. Like, I never had the need to be like, oh, I need an air fryer. So then I started like dating Jimmy, and he's from a small town. Everybody's like, so what do you cook? What's like your signature dish? Like, what is it? And I'm like, yogurt with granola. Like, what? Like, what are we? Because I was like, I don't have like, especially too when you're in theater, you don't really like have the money to be like, oh, let me go sit at this restaurant. Like, if you wanted to say alcohol, I would know right away. Which, like, Four Roses bourbon, Maker's Mark, boom, on the rocks, done. But now I've been starting to really try, like, I'm really getting into like Thai food and stuff too, and also American food and things like that. But regarding Friendsgiving, I was like, okay, this is going to be my first time. I was so proud of myself, Eric. Like, I made a spreadsheet and I put everybody's like allergies they might have and like what they were bringing. Like my friend had celiac, so I made gluten-free bread. And then I went to Aldi and I bought this giant turkey, and I was like, all right, I'll save it and then I'm going to make it. But again, because I have no cooking experience, I did not take out the turkey to defrost until the day of. So I'm sitting it in the sink, and I remember Jimmy comes in, and I'm like, oh, I'm just defrosting this big chicken or big turkey or whatever. And see, I don't even know what it is. I don't even know what I'm making. Yeah. And he goes, babe, you need to stop doing that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm making this is going to be my big moment. I'm going to make a turkey. And he's like, that's not going to defrost today. Like, did you just take it out of the freezer? And I'm like, yeah, what's the problem? And he's like, it's 4:00 and people are going to be here at 6. And this is just not going to. And the realization that just went through my body of knowing that this turkey, it was like I had disappointed Martha Stewart or whatever the gods were. So we had to rush to Schnucks and just get like rotisserie chickens. But then I didn't tell anybody that it was chicken. So everybody went, what a great turkey.
Go with that. For the rest, just keep doing that. As long as you can get away with it, do it. I would be so happy if I thought I was eating turkey and it tasted like chicken.
Okay, good.
Because I think turkey is, I'm not a huge fan of turkey.
Okay.
Like, I can eat it, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
But if it was chicken, I'd be like, whoa, this is delicious.
That makes me feel so much better.
I'd be like, Mollie is killing it right now.
That was the vibe. I think at the very end I said, so here's the fun. And then of course it's all my close friends. So it's not like they're going to be like, oh, look at her. But stay back to your question after that little tidbit. That would probably be what we would be doing, because there's all the different options that you can choose from. But I'll probably have to be a little bit more prepared if we do a turkey the next time.
I had a Friendsgiving recently, but all of my friends are just poor open mic comedians.
Yeah,
so James
exactly.
Boucher brought a box of 6 donuts.
There you go.
Alex Hayes brought 1 Red Bull.
There you go.
Jack Wright didn't bring anything. And I got 2 pizzas, and we all just and we were like, you know what? This works. This is all we need. We don't need anything like that. But I when I sent out the message to I sent it out to like Ben Johnson, Jack, and a couple people, and I was like, hey, come over this time, bring something. And everybody but I was like, bring just trashy food, thinking, knowing, all right, we're going to get some White Castle burgers, we're going to get some Rally's fries,
which is fun. Yes.
We're going to get let's just do a smorgasbord of trashy food. And everybody was like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to bring something. I'm like, all right, well, it's a good thing I got 2 pizzas. So
I love that, though. That sounds like super fun, though.
It is just like it is fun to like a no pressure thing, because I know what you're talking about when you realize, oh, the food's not going to be ready, something's wrong, and you have that like panic moment, and you realize like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, it's supposed to be fun.
That's what it got fun, because then after all of that, what I did was, because again, I'm in my loft, I had what's crazy to think about is like, I used to think this table was so big, and then if you saw it's our kitchen table now in our kitchen in our house. It's so small, but what was cute about it was I didn't have enough chairs, so I had to borrow chairs from the hotel that I was working at. And it was a very artsy hotel, so we had like my regular kitchen chairs, but then we had to put these like artsy chairs around it, and so people were like trying to, but it was so funny. And then I didn't have a tablecloth, so we used a bed sheet. And then obviously I didn't have a fireplace, so I put on the fireplace from Netflix, and I went, do we want the crackling one? And everybody's like, we literally don't care. Just like throw on whatever. So, You just have to make do with what you have, even if it's not Buckingham Palace. It's something.
When we lived in California, my wife and I had a
Oh, you lived in
Thanksgiving.
California?
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When I was in the military, we were stationed out there.
Okay, cool.
And we didn't. I had an aunt who lived 35, 40 minutes away and a cousin, and they came down one time, and I just had like one buddy over, and we had this like little like breakfast nook bench that was perfect for our
Aw,
3-person family, you know?
Yes.
And then we got some folding chairs, but we realized it's not big enough for 6 people to sit around. Like 3 people fits perfectly, but all of a sudden you realize like, oh no. And there was one year where my dad loves turkey legs, so I was like, I'm gonna do like my version of turkey legs. I'm gonna smoke them. I'm gonna prepare them, everything like that. When I was putting the seasoning on, it was the Tony. I always say Tony Chachere's.
Okay.
And then somebody recently was like, no, it's Cajun, man. It's probably like Tony Chachere's.
Oh, I
So
don't
now
even know
I've
what it
lost
is.
all
so.
confidence in it. It's just a seasoning, but I got the Cajun kind instead of the original kind, which is like 3 times as spicy,
Yeah.
thinking it was the original. And so I just doused them. And then I didn't taste it until it came off. And I took one bite of it and was like,
Oh my god.
oh my
Yeah.
God. Because I had tasted the original flavor and it's not that spicy, you know? But then I had never tasted the Cajun one before. So I mixed it with that and with other
Yeah.
peppers and spices. And it would have been perfect except for that. And I remember just showing up to Thanksgiving, like handing my dad a turkey leg. He was like, oh, it looks brilliant. And I'm like, it's not. Don't even try it. Just stop. I failed, you know.
Aw.
So because of that reason, I
Yes.
have to go with either the appetizers or just the trashy
There you go.
food. Like, because
Yeah.
it's all about just being together, right?
Yes, it is about being together.
One of my favorite things to do, sometimes my parents will do this, is they'll go to a Mexican restaurant and buy a ton of the white cheese dip
Oh,
and then put it in a crock
okay.
pot so it like stays warm. And then you can come up and just kind of like make your own nachos or something
I
like
do.
that.
I've warmed up to crock pots. I even though I make fun of air fryers, a good crock pot. I bought one for $20 at the dollar store when I was in my like early 20s, and I still have it to this day, and I love it because I can put soup in there. I can put all these different things, and it was nice too because when you're busy, your soup is just there for when you
Yeah.
when you come back and just throw it in, eat it up. It's no problem. So yes, I like that idea.
Lasagna, soup, chicken, Italian beef.
Yep.
It's one of those things. That's how you know you're getting older, when you realize how many things that you can do with a crock pot and you start getting
Yeah.
excited.
Oh, yeah.
I love doing that. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
oh. I remember as a kid coming home and you'd see the crock pot on the counter and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, ugh, we're going to have some weird food for dinner tonight like that. And now I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get the crock pot out. Ooh,
Yeah.
That's it. It's like my fun. It's like my fun Friday night. It's like, ooh.
I love it. Get a blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, what is your favorite way to spend a holiday? Are you,
Ooh.
especially like the day after Thanksgiving, is it all going to be like just leftovers? Are you getting cozy in front of the fire? Or are you doing the Black Friday, like fighting cops?
No.
Yeah.
I am not doing that third one. I have no interest. I don't even like to camp. So when people start camping outside Walmart, I'm just like, oh no. But I really like either the first two. Like leftovers. Some people hate on leftovers, but I think they're great because you're like, oh, I just had food left over from yesterday and I don't have to worry about making anything else. And I don't really eat chocolate, but for some reason I love chocolate, like hot chocolate. So, throw me in front of that Netflix fireplace. I've got the hot chocolate going. It's good. So, yeah, I like a good relax. I don't need to go crazy. I don't need to run and get a gift. Honestly, at this point, like people, the way that they throw themselves at flat screen TVs and things, it's of no interest to me. Not at all.
I can't, yeah. I have no desire to.
Yes.
Once I worked a Black Friday, I was like,
Yeah.
nope, I will never do this again.
It is one thing when you have a retail background. It totally changes people are like, it's such a great deal. But now, Eric, I will say, I feel like it's changed a lot. Like now there's Cyber Monday. So,
I've heard it's going
yeah.
down. I've heard it's not as bad.
Yeah, it's
as
not
it
as
used to be.
crazy.
And
Yeah.
I think the deals aren't as good either.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows that Amazon's going to have like such crazy deals that they can't compete really. And so people aren't going out. So they're not doing like an 80-inch flat screen for $20 anymore. They're like, it was $350, now it's $325, and people are like, oh well, I'm not I'm not trample somebody for $25.
Oh no, not at all.
I love a good just by the fire, you know, or my dad has this outdoor kind of like little it's like a little chimney, little fireplace like that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
about. It's so nice. It's something I never thought about until I was older.
Yeah.
Kind of like a crock pot.
Oh, yeah.
Where I love it. If he's like, who wants to do a fire? I'm like, ooh, me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let's go. Oh, yeah.
All about it. All about a good fire pit. We have 2, so I understand.
It's something, yeah. I want to. I built one time in my backyard.
Okay.
I mean,
ours is just the circle thing that you throw the wood in or whatever. Yeah.
That's pretty much what it was. I just put stones around the outside of it.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's maybe like like that. It's not big.
That's very creative though. Yeah.
It's completely fallen apart. The stones have dropped out. It made me really respect like ancient ruins that are still standing. Because I'm like, I built that 36 months ago, and it's not going to make it through the winter. And they built those thousands of years ago.
I love it.
I didn't level out the ground. I just kind of like, I scooped out the topsoil, and then I kind of like stomped it, and I was like, yeah, that looks good. And then I put the bricks in. And my wife's like, did you level it? And I'm like, yeah. I like, it looks level. I eyeballed it, And she was like, okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, just like you eyeballed painting and eyeballed the sanding. And I'm like,
All those things always need a bunch of attention to detail. So as somebody's working on a house for that, I get it.
I'm not good. That's not my type of project. Like attention to detail and like following to the T. If you need like brute force, that's what my wife uses me for.
Understandable. There you go.
When we were doing the landscaping out front, she was like, you shovel the rocks and I'll plan out where they need to go. And I was like, okay. And I was perfect at that. Mm-hmm. I mean, she treats me like a mule sometimes, honestly, but it's okay. It works out. That's exactly what she needs.
Exactly. I love it.
Okay. So you said you love pizza, right?
I do.
So what is the best nationwide chain pizza?
Okay.
That's why I went with these, because obviously there are better pizzas out there.
Yes.
But we're talking about nationwide chain. We've got Domino's, Papa John's. I don't even know if Emo's is nationwide, so technically Pizza Hut. But we're in St. Louis, so you felt obligated.
Here's my thing. So I feel like there's a story with everything, but I think with Pizza Hut would probably be my go-to, and here's why. Because I remember when I was doing... I was a 90s kid, so I had the reading.
Book it?
The book it, yep. And you would have the stickers, and then you would have the pizza party. And I remember, I always kind of loved the crunch of the crust at Pizza Hut. For some reason, that's like a core memory.
Yes.
But then so I'm not a big fan of Provel cheese, and I know people love it here, but I had Emo's pizza with mozzarella cheese, and it was delicious.
Yes.
So if we're gonna wrap Emo's, again, I'm not a Provel person, but somebody's like, just get mozzarella cheese on it. I forget if I heard on the radio or something. So I did. This was a few years back, and it changed my world. I was like, okay. And Emo's has a really good salad, too. I don't know if you ever had salad.
Their salad dressing is amazing.
Yes.
You can buy it at Schnucks in bottles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've actually grown to appreciate, even though, chain-wise Pizza Hut, but I have grown to like Emo's a little bit more than I did when I first moved here.
Well, Pizza Hut has definitely gone down.
Yeah.
It used to be... the buffet.
That's
do you remember the lunch buffet and the book? When you would read, you had to read what, 3 books or something like that, and then they would bring out that personal pan. I remember, and you were just like, "Yes, I earned this." Yes. I remember that being that is a core memory. But the last time we got Pizza Hut, it was so different. I don't know what it is. They've changed something.
They have. Mm-hmm.
They have the best marinara sauce.
They do. I agree.
But they've shrank the sizes.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you've seen that.
No.
It used to be you got a cup like this, and it was 50 cents per cup.
Oh, wow.
Now it's 60 cents, and it's a much smaller little dipping cup. And after they did that, I was like, oh, shame, Pizza Hut.
No.
Yeah. I can't go with Domino's.
See, I don't like Domino's pizza either.
I'm
not
just
a fan.
burnt out.
No.
I can't do it.
No.
I would think on that I would have to go to Papa John's.
Yeah, Papa John's, what I liked from them growing up? My mom would always get Papa John's because it's like, and it still is right near our house. So like when we were kids, we would get I really loved their cheese sticks. Actually, yep. I just remember again, it's just like with pizza. It was like Pizza Hut, like satisfying going in and getting your award or whatever. But I remember going into Papa John's and picking it up and it was just so fun ripping off the strips and being like, it was just different because it wasn't a real pizza. It was a cheese sticks. So I don't know if they still have them, but I'll have to call Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do love, if you like Emos, like you like it with the mozzarella cheese, there's a place called Fortel's Pizza.
Okay.
Fortel's Pizza Garden. I forgot where it's located, but it's downtown.
Okay.
Kind of ish. But it is delicious. Okay. It's got the same like crust style, but I think their cheese is so much better. It's not Provel. You can get a mix. You can actually even get... I think they have like pepper jack as an option or something like that. And I've never seen pepper jack as an option. So I
do like pepper jack cheese, so I'm down.
I'd try it.
All the cheese.
But it is delicious. It's so much better than Emo's.
Yes.
And I wish that we as a city could come together and be like, hey, we're changing our allegiance, but no one ever will.
No one ever will. That's okay.
Do you have a favorite? Which the best pizza place in St. Louis that's maybe not a chain? Like, is there a place you and Jimmy love to go?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. He is a Pizza Hut guy. He loves, he'll basically he used to work at a gas station that would make the little pan pizzas when he was living in Foley growing up. He'll even go to a Casey's and have pizza. I don't think he's too picky about it, but that's who he is as a person. He's just like, it's no big deal. But
whatever's there.
Yeah, whatever's there. But I'm definitely a little uppity in the sense of that I like to go to a good like wood-fired pizza, which I know people laugh about because they're like, I don't care if it's wood-fired, like I just want the pizza. But there is something fun about going somewhere, and I can't think of anything on the top of my head right now, but where they do put it in the wood-fired oven, it comes out, and me being Italian, this is what I'm used to. Oh. It's like more of a cultural thing for me, if I'm being honest. It's like, it's a little bit thinner, so you can really taste more of the ingredients and less of the bread.
Yes.
Which I know a lot of people are like, but that's what we want, is like the bread. But I kind of love having the unevenness of it too, where you're like, oh, okay, like the crust doesn't have to be exactly the same. And a lot of like chains do that because it's a chain and they want everything to be consistent everywhere. But it is fun to go to like a restaurant in like the Central West End or somewhere around in the city, around even here where we're at. And like there's this place called Idera that's in the Central West End. It's a little bit of a classier place, so it's not really your pizza joint, but they have really good wood-fired pizza. So, yeah, like the ingredients were just like falling off the pizza, but it was just so good. And I remember being like, oh, okay. Like, I'm not a millionaire, so I can't go there every day. But the one night that Jimmy and I did go, we went for fun, and it was delicious. I had to get the veggie, though. And so he got the meat lovers, just because we have to have different ones, apparently.
It's funny how similar you and Jimmy are to me and my wife.
Oh, really?
Because if she was like, "Hey, I'm getting the veggie lovers," I'd be like, "Oh, so we're getting 2 pizzas? Okay, cool." Because I'd be like, "I will try that." But I'm not ordering it.
Oh, yeah. He tries it. There was, speaking of, and again, this is not going to help anybody listening because it's not open anymore, but there was this place I used to love called Hugo's. Did you ever go?
I've heard so many people talk about Hugo's.
Oh, my God. It was, when I worked at Hotel Ignacio, which is also not open, I feel like I walk into every building in the city and then I just shut it down. They're like, excuse
I'm going to have
me.
to ask you to leave.
Exactly, right?
I've invested too much money, Molly. I don't know if I can have you.
Oh my gosh. Like, literally, I feel like I'm telling this story. I'm like, oh, well, this pizza place is closed. And then where I used to work is also closed. But, when I lived in the loft, I used to work at this hotel called Hotel Ignacio. And I was their front desk manager. And Hugo's used to give us these free, like, it was like buy a pizza and get a certain one off or something. And they were like, hey, do you ever use these? And I was like, no. And so she goes, well, here's this gift card because I like won something through some kind of staff thing. And then they said, and did you use this too for if you take your boyfriend at the time? And so I was like, all right, Jim, let's go get pizza. And it was so good. I am so sad. So if anybody has any connection to Hugo's, let me know. We need to rebuild it. We need to bring it back. It was just, it got the reviews it did because of how good it was. I just think with the pandemic, unfortunately, everything shut down.
There's so many good things that were lost.
I know. R.I.P.
If you like wood fire pizzas, have you ever tried Katie's?
No.
There's
Where's this?
Katie's Pizza and Pasta. There's
Katie's Pizza and
Yeah.
Pasta. Yes.
They do wood fire pizzas.
I love them. Yes.
There's one 300 feet from here, the studio, just right over there in Ballpark.
Funny story about Katie's Pizza real quick. I was doing I don't know if you saw the St. Louis Magazine from November. Yeah. They had a whole comedy section. So they featured my show from the Golden Hoosier, and then they had all the pictures that Chase had took. There was one of me, and then they used them for all the different city winery and things like that. It was very cool. So I was very excited about that. But what was even really more amazing too is that my boss from the Women's Exchange, which is the nonprofit I work for, she was on the cover, which was really cool. And Katie, who is the founder, she was on the cover as well. So I got to meet her, and she's super nice. I was like, I'm sorry I'm fangirling, but I really love you. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. But she was darling. And it was just cool to read about her story and things like that as well. But she was mentioning, she's like, oh yeah, I'm opening this, or it's opened, I think now on, at Ballpark Village. And I haven't checked it out yet. I've only been to the one in Rock Hill, but yeah, she was just on the cover. So that was really cool to meet her and, read about her story.
one of my really good friends, Rick, is a bartender server there.
Oh yeah.
And so I've been in there a couple times.
How do you like it?
I love it.
Good.
It's so good. It's all kinds of stuff that I wouldn't search out to try, but I've been as I get older, the more I'm like, you know what? They made it this way for a reason.
Yes.
Let's just try it. You know what I mean? I used to always be like, no peppers, no onions. And now I'm like, let's just try it. Let's see what happens. And most of the time I'm like, oh damn, okay, I guess it is pretty good. But they have a 4 cheese. It's called the Quattro Formaggio pizza or whatever.
Yeah, 4 cheese. Yeah.
And it has goat cheese on it, and I'd never had goat cheese before.
Yep.
And it was something that I would probably steer away from, but I was like, why not? I'll try it. It was so good.
Goat cheese is delicious.
It was so good. I had never in my life thought that I would be the kind of guy that would be like, I would like a goat cheese pizza, please. But now, if they have it as an option, I'm just like, oh, that's so. And I'm trying to get my wife on board, but she's very she doesn't stray too far away from her usuals,
I gotcha. Yeah.
So sometimes if I have something that's got something special on it, I won't tell her.
Yeah.
And then be like, hey, try this. It's a cheese pizza, And she'll be like, oh, cheese. What kind of cheese? And I'm like 4 different kinds.
All the cheese.
Yeah, just the good ones, the good cheese. You should try it. She's like, well, I don't like some cheeses. And I'm like, yeah, but just please just try it.
I do love goat cheese. That is great. And then ricotta cheese, too, is pretty good. When I make a lasagna, all the food I make is all Italian. So it's everything in Italian food is made with cheese or made with wine. It's very on brand. But yeah, good ricotta cheese. You put it with the noodles. Yeah. It's good.
That sounds delicious. I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
But if you like wood fire pizza, you guys should go check out Katie's.
Oh, yeah. Katie's Spots and Pizza. I'm into it, and she's really cool, too.
All right. Best pizza topping.
Oh.
Okay. Best pizza topping. We have, these are, by the way, all of these are just examples. Because a lot of sometimes when I ask people a question, they're like, well, now I instantly forgot everything. So if you have it is hard. If I was like, hey, what's the best movie? You'd be like, but if I said, which of these are the best movies, and then showed you 3 examples, you'd be like, oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Even if I don't like any of these, it might trigger a memory of another one. So
True.
on the picture, we have pepperoni, cheese, and sausage. But feel free to interject if you're like, actually, what I like is blah.
All right. So, hot take. Here is the deal. I used to love pepperoni on pizza. Suddenly, I have gravitated to more of a cheese gal, and I like to have my vegetables on it. So, I really like to put tomatoes on pizza.
Okay.
If you really want to get fancy, I like roasted tomatoes is pretty good. I do like some spinach on it. I like mushrooms on it. Olives. I know people like have this real disgust with olives, and I love olives. So good cheese with some olives, some tomatoes, some spinach. We're good to go. Like they call it like a margarita pizza. That's delicious. Throw some olives on it. But yeah, I was a big pepperoni girl as a kid. Sausage is fine. Like, I am not dying to have sausage on my pizza because I'm not a huge meat lovers pizza person. But, like, some people are sausage people. Like, even, like, there's Italian sausage, too. Like, people love that kind of stuff, and that's totally okay. But, yeah, I think when I was little, because your taste buds are like, oh, I just love pepperoni and cheese.
Yeah.
But, yeah, now I'm like, oh, you suddenly just want to make your pizza
I'm
so
distinguished
fancy,
now,
you know?
so
I'm older now. I have a crock pot, okay? I have Pyrex dishes.
Yeah.
Like, things have changed for me.
I think my biggest problem with sausage is that depending on where you go and depending on what sausage, there are days, like, I don't know if Emos has this, but there's this place in Cape called Polly Eyes, and it's delicious. The sausage pizza is delicious.
Yeah.
But you put it in your fridge, any leftovers, and the next day, your milk will taste like sausage. Like, the smell is so strong.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I don't know why it happens. But as soon as the pizza cools down, the sausage smell just spreads.
Yes.
And it overpowers everything. So, like, I stay away from it just because of that reason. Like, I always am, like, I'm very sketchy about sausage. I do love cheese pizza because it's like,
Who doesn't?
every pizza is a cheese pizza.
That quattro formaggio.
Yeah. I never thought that it would be like that, but sometimes, you know. One thing that I've been seeing a lot lately popping up is chicken Alfredo pizzas. Have you ever seen one of these?
Yes, I have. I think there's one at Pickleman's.
Yeah.
Because I used to order from Pickleman's a lot when I worked at the hotel because it was right by there. So.
I went there last night. It was a mistake. I should
Oh,
not.
really? What happened?
Okay. Pickleman's, you're a great restaurant. I love you. You're doing great things down there. However, since it's on the WashU campus, or is it SLU? It's SLU campus,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I walked in there after the Funny Bone open mic and was surrounded by like 78 drunk college kids.
Yes.
And I just, they were so loud and they were all doing TikTok dances. And I'm just standing there.
There's like a TikTok level to it now.
Oh yeah.
God.
And I just, it's to me, that's like just anxiety. Like it's just everyone's just yelling and talking and then dancing and there's all like lights and cameras. And I'm just standing there like, I would like an Italian sub, please. Yeah, I'm way too old for this. And I look so out of place. And so my personal favorite is Gramophone.
I love Gramophone too. Great sandwiches. I love the helper. It's awesome.
Everybody. I mean, there's two types of people in St. Louis. People that love Gramophone and people that have never been to Gramophone. Like that's it. Nobody ever goes and is like, it's all right. You know what I mean? They're every time. It's just
their sandwiches are just so unique and like out of this world. And I should be trying like more of them, but I always, you know, I get how you said your wife kind of like stays with her sandwich. I have that too. Like they're just like, I know like if I like the Italian one or I like the helper with the macaroni and cheese on it or, you know, so Kate Barton and we go there. I know I've talked to her about a lot on the podcast, but I go with her and we just that's like our place. We have so much fun going there, hanging out. Having a drink, having a sandwich. Yeah,
it's the best. Especially, excuse me.
You're okay.
The coffee's coming back. No, especially since they're open so late.
Yeah.
So, like, it's great when you get done with a comedy show. I don't like to eat before I go on stage.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm sluggish. Yeah. And then I'm like, I don't really want to do this. Let's take a nap, you know?
Yeah, coma.
So, yeah, exactly. So I always wait till after shows are over, and then sometimes, you know, you don't leave a comedy club till 11:30 or something if there's a late show.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, everything's closed. I don't want fast food. And then you're like, oh, I could make it to Gramophone. And it's one of the highlights of my week.
I don't blame you, though.
I love going. My wife did have to have a discussion with me. She's like, hey, you're going to gramophone like 4 times a week. Maybe dial it back a bit. And I'm like,
You're like, I
okay.
have to have an intervention about
You're
how much I
right.
go to the gramophone.
I've almost made it through the entire menu. And there's only like
wow.
1 or 2 sandwiches that I haven't tried, and I'm not even sure if I want to try them.
Okay.
But I kind of feel like I have to just because.
Just, you know.
Yeah.
I've already come this far.
I know, right? It's like, I don't want to quit at 98%, you know? But I always get distracted. Like I'll go in and be like, all right, today's the day. I'm trying the whatever. And then I'll look up on the chalkboard and they have a new special sandwich. And I'm like, well, obviously I have to get this.
Yeah.
It's a limited time thing, you know? Like,
oh, Jimmy's like that. Not to like reverse back to Pizza Hut, but this will like go with the podcast. So Jimmy is all about a limited time, and I had to do an intervention with that. I said, just because something says limited time only does not mean that we have limited options to get it. We don't even have to get it. Like, we're still going to live our lives because it's just like for example, the McRib. They're like, it's going away. It's never coming. The McRib is never leaving us. Like, it is coming back.
It will always be
It
back.
is like it rises like a phoenix. It returns. I don't even think I've had one because I'm just like too weirded out to order something called a McRib at McDonald's. Like,
I've never had one.
I'm like, I don't know. It's just like weird. No, thank you. But he ordered a Cheez-It pizza. It was, again, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I have to have wood fire. He ordered a Cheez-It. It was so gross. Like, it was like literally.
Where did he get a Cheez-It pizza from?
Pizza Hut. Oh, because, precisely. It was like it was a giant Cheez-It square that I guess was like bread that was maybe colored to look like a Cheez-It. I mean, it was a work of art. I will give them that. And then we had to cut it in 4 ways. This was like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, you did it like this, and then there was cheese and like little pieces of meat in it, but they were like cubes. I had 1 bite, and I was like, this tastes like cardboard, please. And ever since, that's a story I bring up. Like I said, remember when and it goes, it's a limited time. And I'm like, no, we don't need garlic knots right now.
Yeah.
We just don't need this. So
there have been times when my wife's like, hey, you're 33 now. Do you think you need to try the new Doritos flavor?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, I like the other ones. She's like, yeah, you like the other ones, and you'll probably like that one too. But do you really need to try it? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Okay. And it becomes one of those things, like you said, like, it'll be back.
Yes.
I love that. The McRib is like a phoenix.
It is. It is like a phoenix. I don't understand. Like, people are like, get it now before it's too late. I'm like, if I survive another 5 years, it will be here. And sure enough, I was like here very recently. I was like, okay. So.
Yeah, and it's once a year. They always say it's going away forever, and it's not.
I'm not missing it. I'm not trying it. No.
It'll be back in March.
It'll be
okay,
back in
like
March.
you'll be fine.
Oh boy.
Oh
Here
yeah.
we go.
Well, this is just. I mean, not to beat the pizza horse to death, but. Next, we have gas station pizzas. Casey's, Hunt's Brothers, Quick Trip. Do you even go for any of these anymore? Or have you closed that chapter in your life?
So, for Quick Trip, I don't think I've ever had Quick Trip pizza. Casey's, I have had. When I was definitely in my intoxicated days. So, it was great when I was in that state. I could not tell you what it tasted like normally. Then I haven't had Hunt Brother pizza either. I don't think I've had that chain because we don't have it in Cincinnati, so I don't know. Like, everybody, you know about the Quick Trips. I know about Casey's here, but I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I have to go with Casey's. My kids said that.
I don't blame you.
My kids said that Casey's is their favorite pizza, and I was like, "Am I a bad dad?" Like that. Like I was like when they said that because I was just like, ah.
How old are they though?
My son's 8. My daughter's about to be 15.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but they love the pepper. They say the sauce is good. Their breakfast pizza is pretty good. I mean,
that's the thing that they're pushing right now is a breakfast pizza. I've never had one though.
It's pretty good.
I got a breakfast sandwich. I think Jimmy tried the breakfast pizza.
Yeah. I'm not okay. So here we go.
Oh, now we're talking, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So you said you're a huge Swiftie. You're in the top 3% of
I
listeners.
am.
You
Yes,
are?
I went on Spotify Wrap, and it was so funny. Like either like you're in the top 3%, and I'm like, oh my god. But then there are people that are like in top 2 and 1. But what they do is because you listen to it so much, they put a clip of Taylor in it. She's like, "Hi, like thanks so much for listening," and I'm like, I know that like everybody else got this message, but it was meant for me.
But
Don't
it
worry
was
about
meant for
Yeah.
me. Yeah. All right. So what's the best Taylor Swift album?
Oh my god. Well, so I was listening to Lover today at work. You know what I like? There's, it's the eras, and what's hilarious, I went to see the movie concert because I still cannot get tickets to her regular concert. But she said,
I
we're
know.
celebrating 17, because I'm 33 as well. And so is Taylor Swift. So we're all around the same age here. And I remember when Tim McGraw and Teardrops on My Guitar came out in high school. And she goes, now we're celebrating 17 years worth of music. And I was like, you didn't need to say that. You did not need to say that. I was like, Taylor Swift, what are you doing, Swiftie? And when I went to see it, there was 5 girls who were like clearly in high school or maybe in their like early college years. And so my husband took me to see it, and it was like a birthday surprise. It was very cute. And then we go afterwards. Of course, they're going up to Jimmy and they're like, are you a Swiftie? And he's like, sure, whatever. And they said, what was your favorite part? And I said, well, she does this acoustic set where she sings Our Song, which was the very first album that came out. And I listened to that when I was in high school. And these girls literally all in sync went, holy shit. And I was just like, okay, Taylor Swift is also 33, whatever. But
Holy shit.
yeah, holy shit.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I really liked Lover. And then 1989, though, I feel is my favorite because Style was a big song that's on there. I love that song. And then I also, like when she had her country era, Speak Now was a big one that I loved too, because she has Enchanted on it and all these other cool big hits. But I remember the big thing like that changed too, and when she was like doing Reputation, she has this song where she's like, Taylor Swift can't come to the phone right now because she's dead. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. So that like brought out a whole new side of me. But yeah, I would have to say 1989. Me and Travis Kelce apparently both have the same taste. We like that one.
Huh.
And then I really like Speak Now from back in the day. I mean, I like all of them, obviously. But
the only one I really know is my daughter had a T-shirt with Red.
Oh,
on
it's a
it.
great album. 22.
And I remember that because it was in the car all the time.
That is a great. Red is a great album as well. They're all good. Even though I said 1989 is my top, they're amazing.
It's one of those things. It does get hard to pick because
Yeah.
you remember like, well, I do like 4 songs from this album and 5 songs from this album, and you're like, okay, but
Yeah.
I really like this song, but the rest of it, you know what I mean? That gets hard.
And that's why her concept has done so well with eras, because it's just like what you said. You're like, oh, this, like what I said was like, well, I like Reputation too, because I remember being like, oh, this is kind of a badass album. And then Speak Now was like, oh, this is it. But yeah, 1989 was when I came out in college, or it came out when I was in college, and it has a lot of great like attachment to it. So yeah.
Do you have it? What's her best song? If you had to pick one song, that
Oh,
you
it
were
would
just
have
like,
to be, for me, it would have to be Style. I just like the rhythm of it, and obviously I like red lipstick, so does she, and like there's just something really just like heartfelt and fun about it, So that's, yeah, anything I like that's upbeat, that's one of them.
So my daughter just had one of like her first high school formal dance.
Yeah.
And she was my wife and my wife's best friend.
That's
and
a big
her.
deal, Eric.
They were all
Oh my
in the
gosh.
bathroom for like 8 hours,
Of
getting
course.
ready, doing hair, doing
I remember
makeup,
that. Yeah.
redoing makeup, redoing hair, redoing makeup, redoing
Aw.
just over and over again. And
Yes.
at one point, my wife said that Never Grow Up came on while she was getting dressed. Or
I
whatever.
tear up when I listen
And
to that
she
song.
was just like that. And I was
I
like, I don't understand. What's the big deal? And then
know.
I listened to it while thinking about how old she is now. And I was like, I just need a minute. Like
Yes, that song at the end, it's from the Speak Now, Taylor version, obviously. And at the end, I like was listening to it again after the new version came out, Taylor's version, and I forgot at the end when Taylor goes, "Now I'm grown up," and I started tearing up because I was like, oh shit. Oh sorry, can I cuss on this podcast? I didn't even know. I'm like, oh shit, I said this twice. I'm like, oh my God, I remember listening to this song and not getting as but now I get, oh my God, Taylor, okay. And so I understand. I get it.
It's, she's one of those artists that I don't realize how many songs are hers. Like you forget about some of them and then someone plays it, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this song. And like, cause I'm not a Swiftie. Like I just, well, obviously I'm not her demographic. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not yet. That's what you, that was quick. You had that ready. She's like,
you're going to be, all of a sudden, you're going to start tearing up at all the songs. It'll be great.
There was, what was it? Bad Blood?
Oh,
the music video where she was like fighting and like.
I told you that's a badass album. I know.
I remember my daughter was into it, so she would watch the music video over and over and over.
I think Selena Gomez.
So
bestie is in there,
and all kinds of different people. I mean, like Zendaya is in it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is it Zendaya? Zendaya, right?
I think it's Zendaya.
Yeah.
Oh,
every time I say it,
at this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like that's how I never know how to say it. That's one of those words. It's like a tzatziki sauce. I always say it, and then I'm like,
but don't worry, karma comes around. Not to quote Taylor Swift, because then no one can pronounce our last name there.
That's true. That's how we started the podcast. Was
don't take it personal, Zendaya, because no one knows how to say us either. So it's all good.
That's all right. Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay.
Oh,
we'll get what is the best invention? Indoor plumbing.
Okay.
The smartphone or the wheel.
What is that first one? I'm sorry.
Indoor plumbing, the smartphone, or the wheel.
Oh, the wheel. Okay. Oh, this is hard.
Probably best contribution to human society.
Well, if that is the case, obviously out of necessity, I feel like a toilet is very much needed because we just don't need excrements around the city. Like there's something called Urinetown, the musical, and I'm just like, I haven't even seen it, but I'm already like not interested. Let's see here. But if we're going to go second, I feel like the wheel, obviously. And then, so obviously I have a smartphone, we all have our phones, all these things. But I do remember when I used to survive life with a Nokia. So I think we're okay.
My favorite phone I ever had was the Razr, Motorola Razr.
Yes, I had a pink one. I know.
I had a gold one.
Yeah,
and I was like,
those were the phones.
Oh man, I memorized the buttons. So like I'd be in class and under my desk I would be texting and I could just, And it was a big deal when you could put your picture of your contact and then the contact's picture would pop up and then you would flip. That I do miss the satisfactory flip of the phone to be like, I have a call. Or when you hang up, up, especially the angry clap. You know what I mean? I don't need to talk to you again. And, I remember a big moment for me was when you could customize someone's ringtone. And you could assign a ringtone to specific people so you knew when I hear this song, I'm not picking up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and you would set your mom's ringtone to like the Darth Vader march and stuff like that, like just to do, just because you could. And that was a big moment. And now kids are like, take it for granted. I obviously, I have a smartphone. Without technology, I wouldn't be able to do, any of this. I think it's all about how we use the tools. Yes. And I feel like people misuse the smartphone more than anything else. Like the wheel, it's pretty straightforward. It's hard to misuse a wheel unless you're like drinking and driving. You know what I mean? And it's really hard to misuse the toilet unless... Well, I would think that. I was about to say, until you've had a couple cocktails, and then you'd be surprised. I used to work, like I said, in hotels, and I I would be like, do you do this at home? Like, not to be like TMI, but I'd just be like, what the hell? And I'm not trying to throw women under the bus, but it was always the women's bathroom. I'm like, well, because obviously, as we talked about, like, there's always women in there, so it's just a different story. But I'm like, ew, okay. When I worked at a comedy club, once the shows were over, it would just turn into a bar. Yeah. And so at like 2 a.m., you'd go in there to clean after we'd And I'd just be like, what the heck?
What just happened here?
Why are men cleaner?
It's crazy. And it's a hard thing to admit. It was a hard thing to swallow. But people will ask that. They're like, who's cleaner at hotels? And I'm like, if you're talking about the public restroom, men.
There were times where you would walk. I mean, there was one time after a show where I mean, I don't want to get into too much detail.
I know, right?
But
Yeah.
under a table in the front row of the showroom, next to the stage, under the table was a used tampon on the floor. Yeah.
Oh God.
That's what we did.
Why?
Not
that he would know. But
How?
Right,
That's how.
Why? Ew. No.
I mean,
oh
you
God.
can't be more front and center. There. I mean, you're even in the lights on the stage are illuminating you as well. How?
I just throw that out. Just throw it out.
Yeah.
Like, I get shit happens, but like, damn, what?
Ask for some napkins, wrap it up, bundle it up, carry it to the bathroom, throw it away. No whatever.
Have some finesse.
Emergencies happen. I have a wife. I have a daughter. I understand sometimes
I'm a woman.
Things
like,
happen.
I get it. Yeah.
But to just on the ground, and it's like, what are we doing?
People are disgusting.
It's so gross. I mean, to that comedian's credit, they were killing so hard that someone could do that, and no one a room full of 300 people didn't notice. Yeah. So
good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Hope they have a special soon. You know?
Actually,
they don't already.
Actually, she does. I don't want to say her name. By the way, I don't want to say her name because I just said something bad about her fans. But she is one of the greatest people I've ever met. So nice, so friendly, so just
we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's why I don't. But I just her fans were like, I mean, we called it Karen Con that weekend. Everybody that worked there because it was just
stinks too. Yeah.
It was so. I mean, just let me talk to your manager. Over like, there's not enough ice in my drink, and like. We've been waiting for 3 minutes and it's like, okay, well, there's 300 people and 4 servers.
People don't get that.
I promise you, we're working our way to you. You know what I mean? Oh, that was one of the worst weekends ever. But I've got
clearly,
I've got to go with the wheel, just because without the wheel, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I live 100 miles from the studio, so like I wouldn't. It would take me 4 days to walk here. But I think indoor plumbing. I think that's
indoor plumbing.
We don't give that enough credit. You know what I mean?
No, that's why it was my first choice.
I would say that life expectancy for humans, on average, went up with the invention of indoor plumbing. Because I mean, think about how dangerous it would be. That is your most vulnerable part of the day. If someone were to attack during those moments. It would be a struggle. That's the least convenient time.
Yes.
Especially, bears and tigers and whatnot. So as soon as they moved that from outside to inside, I bet you the average, animal attack or just random
It just went down.
Yeah,
thank God.
Yeah.
Good. Congratulations to that inventor and the one who made wood-fired pizza.
It
made my life very complete.
They've improved the human experience overall. Okay. Oh, what is the best instrument of all time?
All right. So I played piano growing up. I'm very rusty now because I have not played it since. But people give a lot of hate to people who are on the piano, and I have to very much disagree because piano is not easy. It really helped me read music. So that way when I would do auditions, when I was really heavily in theater, I would just go to the piano and kind of figure out the notes just so that way when the accompanist would play, I wouldn't have that problem versus there were people who maybe weren't musically trained yet and they were like, oh shoot, can you read this real quick and put it on the piano? So that's my favorite. I have tried to teach myself how to play guitar and I have not been very successful. I have one. I try to tune it, but I think I just need to get some lessons and maybe that'll help. I'll have to text you and find out what the documentary is, but for the drums, there's a really good documentary on Netflix about people who have played drums in bands and how competitive and how hard it is, which is like the whole music industry. But they do like an interview with the drummer from the Motley Crue and from a lot of different bands. So I have a lot of respect for drummers. Like, I also feel like drummers don't get enough credit the way they should. And
do you really feel like piano players get the most hate?
I have definitely heard that, where people are like, oh, yeah, like somebody that plays the piano. But I'm like, look at John Legend. Like, he's great,
Yeah.
you know? Like, I don't know. Like, there's definitely something like when somebody, and, you know, when people play guitar, they're like, oh, guitar, it's great. Or like when people play no, I will say this. Sometimes the drums get respect, but sometimes they don't. That's kind of a hit or miss I've seen. But yeah, sometimes with the piano,
Hit or
because
miss.
people don't realize it's hit or miss with people. They're like this.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, I don't know. Like people would, when I was in high school, people were like, oh, you play the piano? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, so you don't do like electric guitar or acoustic or something? And I'm like, no.
See, I'm with you. I think that the piano is easily the classiest instrument.
Yes.
Easily the classiest. I mean, maybe the harp beats it out, but the piano.
The harp is pretty cool.
If I'm walking somewhere or like I'm at a party and someone pulls out a guitar, I'm like, ugh. Like I'm so annoyed.
Yeah.
But if someone were to sit down at a piano and just like.
That is
just
so
casual,
refreshing to hear, Eric.
It's like, oh, that is so classy. Like that to me, like if someone were to sit down and just a quick little like note, I'd be the most impressed.
Oh, good. There you go.
Like to me, that's like a hidden, that's up there with like playing chess, you know?
Oh, I'm terrible at chess. Yeah.
But you find out someone knows how to play chess, you're like,
oh,
okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, Sherlock Holmes, calm down. You know what I mean?
Right.
The guitar, I can't stand. I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not a guitar person. I just think about people at like a party or on the beach or in the park or whatever. And it's like, I don't want to hear you strumming your guitar. All right. Like, I don't want to.
Eric is done.
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done with it. I think that drums, like as far as contribution to human history, I think drums are probably the most significant, just because I would argue they're probably the first instrument. Wouldn't you think?
Because keep the rhythm.
I mean, the piano, it probably took a very long time to learn how to put together.
Yes.
The guitar probably, came somewhere after that, but it was also probably very hard to figure out. Drums, I mean, probably started with somebody slapping their thigh. And they were like, hey, that sounded pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do that again. I want to move my body to it. You know what I mean? Like, and then they started figuring out like they would get like an animal skin or something and do it. And then it took off. I think that drums started music for the human race.
That is an excellent take, because I love drummers. I think it's really, and also what's cool about, like, have you ever heard of the group Stomp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is like probably an older kind of like relevance to it. But yeah, it was kind of the same thing where they like used different pieces of like buckets or whatever. And I remember being in the 4th grade, and that's when I discovered it. And it's kind of like, not to be like, music is everywhere, but it really is. Like, there is like so many different times where people use things, or when you go to like New York or Las Vegas or LA or whatever, and I'm sure there are other places that's happened, but I've just seen it in those areas. There's people that are using drums on the street, and you're absolutely right. There is something about like hearing a drum and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I want to dance to this, but I'm also a dancer, so I may want to dance to anything. Piano, guitar, drums. Hey,
I'm not a dancer, so if I hear drums, like you might get like a foot tap or like a head nod, and that's me just getting down. Like that's me, like
yes.
I stick to when do you remember when Hitch came out?
Yes,
and he was
I
like,
remember
all
that
you need to
movie.
do side step and snap, side step and snap. I was like, there we go.
I've
got my
other
signature move.
There you go.
That's it. That is the total sum of my dance knowledge.
Who doesn't like a little sidestep? I like it. There you go.
When you're my size, you're not meant to like get down, and I'm not limber, so it just looks painful. A lot of times when I dance, people are like, "Are you all right? You seem like you're kind of stumbling around." I'm like, "No, I'm loving it, man. I'm jiving," and they're like, "No." I don't know what you're doing, but
I'm
that's all right.
jiving.
I don't even know the terms you would call it. I am super impressed though by people who are like really good at dancing. Just like when you see like some people like street dancing, and it's like, how do you make your body look like liquid? Like, how do you like move your arms like that?
Yes, that is such a great way to say that.
Yeah.
Yep. Love all of that. Like I just watched Dancing with the Stars, the finale, and I watch that each and every week. Like even if when we're at the Funny Bone on Tuesdays, I will record it so that way after the mic is done, I'll go and like watch the show. And I'm just like, oh, it's so like beautiful that they can like do ballroom dancing and the quick step, and they also can jive, but then there's like freestyle numbers, so they do hip hop. And then I also love So You Think You Can Dance. I've always watched that, and it's so true. That's like they're like, especially with these professional dancers, just like their whole body, it's like they're just so in tune with themselves. It's just an amazing thing to see. So I appreciate your appreciation of it.
I do. The piano, I would say the piano, like it will get the strongest emotions. Well, I don't know. So the piano would probably be the one that most likely make me cry.
Yes.
You know, it would get those emotions, but the drum, like I remember watching Drumline as a kid with Nick Cannon.
Yes.
And just being like watching them like battle it out or whatever, and being like, I'm ready to go to war. Like it was like so like the beat just gets in your, it's like with the rhythm of your heart almost, and you're just like, yeah. But I don't know, whenever somebody's doing a guitar, I always am just kind of like,
yeah. Oh, I used to date somebody who played guitar, and it gets old real fast. Don't worry. It's like, oh, let me like get out the guitar so I can like jam, and I'm like, first of all, the fact that you just used the word jam is is interesting.
I went on the road recently with somebody, and they brought a guitar with them.
Oh.
Yeah, and they would, in like, downtime, they would play like 23% of a song over and over and like trying to nail down a specific chord sequence. Yep. And you're just like, it's like Chinese water torture where like, it's just like, it like crawls in your brain and you're just like, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind. I can't do it. And they didn't understand that like people were talking, and every time we would talk and get a little louder, they would play a little louder, and then we would talk a little louder, and then they would get a little louder. And it's like,
no, thank you.
Yes. Like, oh yeah. Yeah. But what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? People are people.
Let's see what else we got here.
Oh,
okay. If you were going to go on vacation, which one would be the best? To the beach or to the mountains?
Oh, the beach. Hands down. I was thinking like top down, like if you drive and you have the sunroof open. Like, here's the thing. Like, I am just not a mountain girl. Like, I'm not a camper. Like, I'm not saying it's not beautiful. I've been to Montana. It's lovely, but I just need to be on a beach. I like being near the water. I like a good, like, old-fashioned or a summer drink near the beach. It's just, it's a nice...
Mai Tai, pina
colada. Yes, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like but I could take an old-fashioned by the beach, too. Why not? But I, like, even right now, I'm looking at it. I'm like, that looks beautiful to me. It's very serene. It's very welcoming. I'm also somebody who likes a lot of sun, a lot of light in my life. With that is beautiful too on the other side, but it's like, I'm not like a fisherwoman. I'm not really like, I don't need to fish. I don't really like to camp. I've camped. I've done it for people because I have friends who like it, but it's just not for me. But it is beautiful.
No, I get it. I would go with mountains. I mean, I can't tell if,
I
don't know if you can tell by my decor. Yeah.
This is exactly where I'm in the mountains right now. Yeah, exactly. So this is it.
For everyone just listening, we're currently in the Appalachian Mountains. No.
I like it. Thank you.
But I would choose mountains.
Okay.
That's where I would go. Mountains, woods, stuff like that. However, I want to sleep inside.
Yeah.
I'm not camping. I understand what you're saying about camping. If someone's like, hey, do you want to go camping? No. If somebody's like, hey, you want to go for a hike and then stay in this cabin?
Yes.
Yes. I would like to do that.
Yes.
But if they're like, hey, do you want to get in this tent? There might be some bears. It's like, no, I'm good.
I'm over that stage. I don't need that. No, thank you.
No, thank you. Snakes and mosquitoes. Like, I want a place at the end of the night where I can go especially when it's cold out, you know, because yes. So
glamping, yeah.
Oh yeah. A mountain lodge or something like that. That's where I want to go, where I can go out, experience nature, and then be like, okay, I've had that fulfillment. Time to get back inside. And now it's time for hot chocolate, Netflix, fireplace.
And the slippers. Yep.
Yes.
Got it. Take a shower. Ooh.
Okay. All right. Which one do you think is the best type of exercise? Goat yoga, professional ribbon dancing, or Highland keg throwing?
So I will probably count out the Highland keg throwing because that does not look fun to me. But I'm glad that man is living his best life.
He is.
He is.
Keg throwing era, right?
Right, exactly. The Taylor's version. Let me see here. I've never tried goat yoga, but it is something I do want to check off the bucket list because it just looks, people all the time are like, oh, it's ridiculous. But then there are other people, they're like, we love it. So you just don't know until you try. But like that girl looks like she's laughing and having a good, I don't know. The thing about goat yoga is I don't know how much yoga I could probably get done in a session, but the experience of it, it's like one of those like one and done kind of things where you're like, once. I don't know if I could go. I mean, I don't know. I'm an animal lover. Maybe I would go more than once and have fun. Like I've seen puppy yoga too. That's something I'm definitely interested in. And I've never done ribbon dancing either, but I used to have a baton that was filled with glitter as a kid. So I would.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That was I used to, here's an embarrassing story about me. But it's also funny. I used to host shows in my driveway. And my parents had these folding chairs. So it's just like exactly what I do now. I would put the folding chairs in the driveway and then I would rally my neighbors who very kindly would come and watch the shows in quotations. And sometimes like I would include my big finale would be a dance number that I was learning in my dance class. I'd be like, and then I had the boom box. Oh my God, I had a boom box. I was like, what's his face? John Cusack. I had one of those. But I did like a baton dance and stuff. And I was like, look at this. And like my neighbors were and then I would get the other neighborhood kids and I'd be like, all right, it's your turn with the baton and it's your turn. So from experience, even though it wasn't ribbons, it's fun. It was just that was my baton/ribbon era when I was younger, So maybe I'll move into the goat era, and maybe by the time I'm as old as this man, I'll throw up a keg. I don't know.
You might. 2 questions about your neighborhood shows.
Yeah.
Are they still going, and who books this? Because my December's a little light. No, that sounds like fun though. That sounds like.
Well, now Jimmy and I have a yard, so maybe
bring it back.
We'll start bringing the baton back. I'll be like, and it's your turn, and it's your turn. All right, you go. Yeah.
So I've never done goat yoga, and I've never done puppy yoga, but I have done yoga while owning a puppy. So. I mean, it wasn't the intention when I started out, but he was like, well, everywhere you go, I'm going. And then he's like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you on the floor? Let's play,
I love it.
And I'm just speaking from my own personal experience that yoga is so much harder than I was expecting it to be because I'm not flexible at all. So it's like, you don't realize, like, I'm not moving and I am in so much pain and I'm sweating and I don't know how to hold my foot up like this. And anyway, so I can't imagine doing it with a cloven foot animal on your back. Like that sounds, because that's just a full on plank. Exactly. Yeah. Planks are hard, and she's doing it with what, a 15-pound animal on her back? That takes so much core strength.
And whoever's taking the picture, that's the other thing too. I'd be like, I would have to bring a friend because I would need a photo to say I did this. Yeah.
As crazy as it is, I think the Highland keg throwing might be the least athletic thing on this list. Because it's kind of just max effort for like 10 seconds.
So hold. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just hit the microphone.
The ribbon dancing, I mean, that's first of all, rhythm, and then endurance and cardio and flexibility and stuff like that. I think that's probably so much harder than people would give it credit for.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're a little over an hour. I don't want to keep you too long. Do you have any shows coming up that you want to promote?
Sure. So we are doing this is Casually Happening. So that's my show that's underneath my podcast, the Casually Mollie podcast. The last show of the 2023 year will be on Wednesday, December 13th. And it starts at 7:30, but doors open at 7, and that'll be at the Golden Hoosier. And
that's a great place.
Oh, I love.
It's a great
yeah.
venue. Yeah.
Yes, I used to do shows when it was Southtown Pub, and then when the Golden Hoosier opened up, I was like, oh, I really wanted to produce a show somewhere. I knew I was like, I have the idea, I just didn't really know where to go and what to do. So I was like, let me just pop in, and the GM just like happened to be there. So I was like, are you looking for comedy at all? And we ended up doing really well with the first show. So now it's been like the second year for it. So, and what's nice about it too is we've had versions of it in like the St. Louis Fringe Festival. And of course, like at the Funny Bones, and even at Helium, I had one. But there's something about the Golden Hoosier, just like where it began and the kind of the intimate spacing of it. It's so nice. And the staff is just wonderful. They just let me do whatever I want. They're so accommodating. So my point in all of this is that definitely come to the Golden Hoosier and you'll get some laughs. You'll get some food. The staff is really nice. So you'll have fun. And,
awesome. How do people find you on social media online?
Oh, sure. Well, you can follow me at Mollie Amburgey, and that's Mollie with an IE, or at the Casually Mollie podcast, or both. And while you're at it, you should also follow St. Louis Independent Comedy, because we post about all different types of shows going on. I keep the website updated with the mics and whatnot. So just make sure that you follow that too, even if it's not my show. Eric has a bunch of stuff going on. Wait. What about your Comedy Cauldron show? I want to know more about this, actually.
So the Comedy Cauldron, it's something that Andrew Gaffigan and Ronaldo started.
Yes.
And they had it going at a bar for a while, and then they had to move. They're looking for a new venue.
Sure.
And Helium reached out and said they were looking for a show.
Nice.
Basically, it's you go up. There's 5 comedians. They mix in prepared material, but then they also pull topics out of this little like cauldron that they've bought. And they have it. There's like 27 different things, and you don't know what it is before you go in. So you pull it out, and then you just try to riff off of it. And it is so much fun. It's so like when they used to do it at the bar, there were people that would just wander in off the streets and be like, "What is happening?" And then once they figured it out, I mean, there are some of those shows where I have laughed harder than I've ever laughed in my entire life, because it's so much just like off the cuff things and stuff like that. But no, I want to make sure people get out to the Golden Hoosier.
Oh, sure.
And I wanted you to know that you do such a great job on the independent comedy page.
Oh, thank you.
Because when I was starting out, I didn't live here. I didn't really know anybody. And so that was like my homepage.
Oh,
I would follow it
good.
because I didn't know how to get to mics. I didn't know where to like find out. So
Yeah.
if you're thinking about starting comedy in the St. Louis area, Mollie does a great service of providing a list of all the open mics, all the shows, like everything happening, and you share clips from everybody's podcasts and everybody's
try, yeah.
Yeah, you do such a great, and I really appreciate that. And I wanted to tell you, every time you share a clip of from this podcast, I really appreciate it.
Oh,
because
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So you got to come. I hope you can come back sometime.
Yes, absolutely.
And next time you have a show to
I got to come back to the mountains, you know?
Yeah. Come join me in the woods.
I love it.
That actually is kind of why I went with outdoor theme, is because I love being outdoors. I feel like people feel more free, and you just kind of.
And you kind of have that vibe, Eric. I can feel like you being an outdoorsy person, and now I want to go jump into a creek or do something like that. You know.
I love it. Not to start a whole nother story, but
That's
recently
okay.
I went for a hike with my kids, and it started to rain a little bit.
Yes.
But we were in the trees, so you could hear the rain, but you couldn't feel it because, it got stopped. And I was just like, like it was so relaxing to me. Mm-hmm. But if I do, so I live in Cape, which is a small town.
Yes.
And if I stay there for too long, I get stir crazy. Like I can't wait to get back to St. Louis to like, I'm like, I got to do stuff. And then sometimes like I feel like I'm going too much, and I go home and just spend some time outside, and I'm like,
Yes.
So that's kind of the whole idea behind this.
Oh, it's a great vibe. Because I get that too, because I was a city gal. So when I moved out to St. Charles, I love it now, but, at the time I was in St. Peter's, and it was just when you have everything within a 5-minute walking distance from you.
Yes.
And then St. Peter's is like 45 to 50 minutes away from everything. You're like, oh my God, I can't wait to get back into the city. I can't wait to do this. But what is nice about where we live in St. Charles, how I can relate to your story, is that we have a nice yard. And with the fire pit and all the things, it's just nice to sit, even if it's just a cup of coffee in the morning or some tea at night, and just having that moment of serenity. You're like, okay, this is not, everything is like, I'm not going to go crazy. It's going to be fine. And I think just concentrating on that stillness is something I'm not very good at, to be honest with you. I like to be like, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to go. I'm going to do this. Because if I feel like I'm not moving, I'm irrelevant or I'm not being productive, versus when sometimes taking a beat is actual productivity, is something you learn when you're older, along with your crock pot and the multiple eras of Taylor Swift. So yeah, there you go. So I can relate.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. And I miss the stars. When I'm in the city, there's no stars because of all the light pollution. And you're like, I have always said that if I was like president of the world for one day, I would just be like, all right, on December 17th, we're turning off all the lights. Everybody's turning off the lights, all right, for like an hour. We're just going to turn them all off just so we can see the stars, just to remind people, like, because there were times when, when you go out, like, especially in the military, like, being out in the middle of nowhere where there is no lights, and you're just like, whoa, I had no idea that was up there. I've never seen that before. Yeah. And then you come back to a big city and you forget very quickly because, you can't see anything. And but that is one thing, like, I really wish that we could all see the stars more. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you can come back again. Yes. Next time you have a show to promote, let me know and we'll come on and give me a few. I'm slow at the editing process, so give me like a few weeks notice so we can get you in, and then I can get it out before the show starts, obviously.
All good.
But yeah, thanks so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.